All right, hello everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. It's going to be a bit of a different blog update. As you guys imagine, lots been happening as of late. I haven't had a chance to see you guys since everything has been taking place in the tragedy, of course, in our area. So this is not going to be a traditional storm talk or snow talk. Both really could apply in today's update, but I do not feel that either are urgent to go into a long-form blog when the mayor is expected to come back in front of the podium in about 10 minutes. And I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to hear what Mayor Greenberg has to say and what other issues authorities have found, because we know that they did have the recovery of the black box that has been going out on social media today as well. That's officially now in their hands after being located, I believe, yesterday. So again, there's a lot to cover on the aviation aspect of what's going on with the investigation. So I don't want to be insensitive to what's happening in the situation, but I also want to make sure you guys are getting some of the weather details. And I promise you, as we get back on track, that's everyone's got their own process to this. But once we get back to a little bit more of a storm and snow talk routines, we'll get a little more detail. But I will at least give you an update today of where we stand on everything, okay? And then we'll get back on track, okay? So let's start with the storm aspect of this, because that has been getting some attention this week. I will say it doesn't look overly concerning right now, so that's good. This is a live look, by the way, there at 17 right. You still see authorities there on the runway at the moment. 26, which is the one that most commercial airliners use on the western side there of this image. You can't see it is back and running. I don't think 29 is running, though, being more east and west. So I think just 26 is up and running here today. Hold on one second. You see some of the planes now going down the tarmac there, UPS, again, doing a little bit of a turnaround as to get toward 26. Okay. On the weather side here, obviously a cool morning. One thing that is worth noting is that we did have a front move through yesterday. And really, if we didn't have this front move through yesterday to reset our air a bit and take out some of the moisture, we would not have had as much of a concern on the thunderstorm side for tomorrow. But because the front did move through yesterday, that has really reduced the severe risk. I just am not impressed on the variables I'm seeing so far. There's some decent wind energy, but that's about it. There's not a lot of moisture here with this one to work with. So I think other than a few gusty storms, and that's only for mainly our southern sections at best, I think most of this, in fact, some of this is going to miss you completely. You won't even get a drop of rain out of this first wave. But there's two ways to get storms this weekend. I know the second one hasn't gotten as much attention, but there are two. So for right now, we're quiet. Let's get right into the Storm Prediction Center outlook for tomorrow. The site risk, about the same spot, roughly around the Parkways area and south, roughly Hodgenville, all the way to Columbia. Marginal goes all the way up toward the Ohio River, but that's just because there is a 1-2 punch to the line. The line's very staggered. There's an initial line that forms in the curl of the actual front, and there's a late day reaction from the moisture plume that comes in from Tennessee. So there's two different lines that form instead of one squall line, if you will, that comes through. It's a line of cells that move by, and there's a delay, and then there's a second line of cells. And that's really, that delay is going to get the majority of that slight risk area for tomorrow night there. All right, let's ignore this, move on. We don't want to show that. That's just an old matrix setup. All right, let me show you the future cast in the short term. You can see that we're good here today, good tomorrow. We'll start off with some clouds early tomorrow. That too will be a factor. If we have a lot of clouds around tomorrow, that does also cut down on the fuel. Then as we get into tomorrow afternoon, roughly 2 to 3 o'clock, the first line will form. Again, a bit of a delay. And then the second line will form, and that's where the second one will really power up. And only 3 of our counties, but still, you're in wave country, so we're going to watch this for you all late tomorrow afternoon for 1 or 2 cases, maybe some strong winds, and even some hail possible in some of these too. But I'm not seeing anything big on the severe risk for this entire system. So that's hopefully good news. The second one then begins to approach. The second one digs in on Saturday night. Now, it may actually have more of a small hail issue, maybe a little bit of thunder, but I'm not worried about severe weather. But it could have some lightning and thunder with it. It will be just a colder profile. But this is the one that's really going to dig in to allow the upper low, which you see behind the banner, that will do a dumbbell effect and will dive right in behind it. That's the one that's going to give us the light snow for Monday. So the one on Saturday starts the machine off to get things going with some showers, and then the one on Sunday night into Monday is the one that really drops in with widespread snow showers. I will say typically your first round of snow showers that can even accumulate on grassy areas, especially if it's the darkness of night. The roads do usually fairly well the first one of the year. The exception being bridges and overpasses, but you can't stick to cars, grassy areas, rooftops. Mind you, that can happen in this scenario, but it will be windy. So a lot of this may just end up blowing around. So it's going to be really tough to measure anything much out of this if it can stay on the ground without melting first, because the ground temps are still running quite warm this early in the year. But no doubt, snow aside, the biggest issue here is just how blustery it is going to be for Monday. If you don't have plans to be out at all Monday, I wouldn't make them. I would just stay hibernated in the house and watch movies, because Monday, especially Monday morning, is going to be a little tough to get out the door. All right, we do recover from that slowly through the rest of the week, and then we may get some more action here toward Thanksgiving, but we'll talk about that in the coming days. Here's the matrix for that snow event. This is a different look to the matrix. We see this in short term, and what you're looking at here is for all of it to fill in. Once it all fills in, it becomes noisy over a certain date, your confidence in at least some snow starts to go up. Then the color matters. So in this case, we have a lot of them that are filled in from the Euro ensembles. There's still some gaps here, but most of them are gray. And if they're gray, that indicates a less than an inch ordeal. So again, very, very minor snowfall amounts. I don't think it's going to be enough for anybody on the snowfall forecast. Sorry, but hey, some could get close. I'm not going to rule it out. It's still some time to work on it. But a quick look at the 10-day and show you again the temperatures today, because of the reset, about 10 degrees lower than yesterday. We try to warm back up tomorrow. Storm chances tomorrow, again, just not overly impressive, especially for Indiana and Louisville. And then we get into just a very cold and blustery setup. A high on Monday only into the 30s with wind chills in the teens, especially in the morning hours. And then we'll slowly bounce back up as we head toward the end of the week there. All right, everyone good? Does the first snow forecast include cars? Nope, Dan. The first 1 inch snow contest is snow measured at 1 inch, has to be measured 1 inch on the ground at Ollie International itself, where they do the measuring of the snow on the backside of the airport there. So just kind of a heads up on that. All right, guys, again, this is a short blog just because of obviously the breaking news that's happening. In fact, Myra Ansari is standing by just to my left. She's about to jump on the news side of things. So I'm going to end for now, and Myra will be live on the news app here coming up momentarily with a live presser from Mayor Greenberg on the latest on what's happening with the investigation of the UPS flight crash. Thanks for joining, everybody. We'll talk again tomorrow and see where we stand, and we'll just promise you that we're monitoring all these events, whether it's storm or snow. We're still monitoring on a daily basis, okay? Take care, everyone. I'll see you guys coming up a little later on today.